Yes,
Let's go.
people, come and welcome to another episode of the Barbershop Convo. Today I'm with my boy Bryan, the owner of the club Barbershop. Like literally, is a professional, one of the best in our generation right now. But I'm gonna give him the stage to introduce himself. I know him, so that the rest of you guys can get to know who he is. So he's just gonna tell you about himself. Like where his shop is based, what he does, how long he's been in barbering. That's pretty much it, man.
How we doing, people? My name is Brian, well known as Brian the Barber. I'm based in Bishop Stortford. I'm the owner of the James Barber Club. We operated since 2022. That's when I
Wow.
opened the studio. I've been barbering proper for the past 5 years. But I touched the clippers for the first time when I was 15. I'm on my 30th now, so it's been a little while now.
Man, it's been amazing, bro. Just to have you on this podcast, like 5 years, like, it's crazy because the journey that I go for your page and I see the journeys that you have taken to get to the position that you are right now is amazing. The fact that you're on stage, you're competing, you're going to these places, you're holding your own against like anyone. Like, that's amazing to see, bro. Like, what inspired you to come into barbering?
Man, I gotta be honest with you. It's just the feeling of getting a haircut. It's the
Yeah.
same feeling that I wanted to give to the people that I wanted to cut hair to.
Yes.
That feeling when you like feel confident. You autoesteem just goes up again. You're feeling ready to go and eat the world. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to make my customers feel with a different approach in this sense now. Since I've been opening the studio. Obviously, it's different when you work in a studio and when you work in a barbershop. The environments are completely different.
For sure, man. Because you didn't just come into barbering. You went into a barbering where you're able to like go on stage, you're doing competitive barbering. Like what skill would you say separates a regular barber from a regular barber in a shop from a competitive barbering?
I would say your mindset. I would say your
Mm,
mindset. I think the mindset is something very, really important, man. I think when I used to work just in a barber shop for someone else,
yeah.
it becomes a routine, you know?
Yes.
When you're trying to compete, your mindset has to be in a completely different level just because it's not your regular. You're not coming in every Monday, every Tuesday, every Friday, do you know what I mean, and do your regulars. You have to
Yes.
you have to be in that competitive mindset. So you have to do things that you're not used to doing. I'm coming
Yes.
from a small town. I'm the only black barber in my whole town, by the way. Shout out to Bishop Stodford. You know, it has been a journey, so I have to stand out from the rest in order to me to be able to create a name for myself. So
For
me
sure.
observing my surroundings, I was just like, there is not barbers that are doing competitions in this town. You know,
Yes.
especially
Yes.
me being the only black barber in the whole town. I was like, how can I just make myself known just from being a normal barber? So
Because
obviously,
that's crazy because like when you're competing, because being like the main or the only Afro barber in that town, it's like you're competing not just for yourself now. It's like I want to put my city on the map. I
exactly.
want people to be like, where is he from? Like, because that's amazing, bro. That's amazing because you have to put the fact that, you come into the game and you're just kind of like you're locked in on a whole different level, which I think, bro, is amazing. How do you handle that pressure then, like of cutting hair in front of audience?
Oh man, I gotta be honest with you, man. I gotta give a big shout out to Dams, man. Dams was the guy that I've been. Shout out to you, my brother. To be honest, like I've been watching him for a long time. I obviously was going to the barber shows, etc. But I was on the other side. I started
Yeah,
meeting all these beautiful people, man, and being backstage with them, and like just having a chat with them. And they were like, "Man, I've been seeing you, man. You should be on the stage with us. Like, what are you doing? Your work is good." But I didn't feel the confidence until they give me the confidence. Do you understand? Like hearing that from someone that is already up here, makes you feel the confidence to do it. And then yeah, I started chatting with Dams, and he started giving me tips, how to overcome those fears, of being on the stage. And like he gave me a couple of tips, and he was like, "Listen, come before the show, come out hours before, start feeling the audience, start feeling the vibe, start feeling the energy." And once I jump on the stage, man, I think he prepped me mentally way before the
Yeah.
day, you know. So in the moment that you're on the stage, I think you blacked out, bro. You're in that moment, you know. You're seeing that amount of people, especially my first show. Shout out to Afro Show. That's the first show that I ever did, man. And the venue, I don't know if you have been there, but it's huge, man. It's a lot of stuff
Bro.
going on, and
Now I
being
haven't
there was
yeah.
incredible.
Because you know it's crazy because my first time going to any of this barbering thing, I met Dams as well, and like
Uh,
ever since then we're just kind of like we're just locked in. Bro, it's crazy to think the connection that he has as a person, as a barber. His energy is on point.
That's
You know,
it.
Dams was the reason I actually even went on stage in the first place to even cut hair in any reason. Like he's an amazing person, man. I'm not gonna lie. Because I was on stage and I thought to myself as well, like what you were saying, bro, the idea of being on stage and you cutting hair in front of so much people, so much barbers, because no one criticizes your works more than barbers.
Yeah,
And you
exactly.
know this. Bro, you know this, bro, because bro, you could do a fade that you think is 10-10. Your client is happy with it, but barbers are hating on it. So
That's
it's
it.
like
They
being
know.
on stage on that level, it's like, oh God. But
It's
yeah,
different.
man.
It's different, bro. Especially when you walked in, and obviously the guys out there saying like, "Oh, I'm gonna present you the 12 best UK barbers," and then you're there in the top 12. You know, and it's just like, all right, like it's game time type of thing, you know. But man,
Like,
one thing is doing it from the outside and then just refilling that moment. You
yes,
realize, man, the competition and the level. Shout out to all the people that I competed with, man. Like literally, they have made me a better barber because after the
yes,
show finished,
yeah,
then you just realize how many things you actually have to work on. And I think that's the beauty of it. It's not
yeah.
just about winning. I didn't place in none of my shows so far, bro. But I still showing
Mm,
up, if you get what I mean. I'm still
for
showing
sure.
up. I'm still out there and I'm still learning and I'm still seeing what other people that I competed with are still doing, you know, and that's my motivation to me to become a
Mm,
better barber, especially me, bro. Like I'm a self-taught barber as well, you know.
wow.
So for
That's
me, it's
amazing, bro.
difficult.
That's
Then
amazing. It's
it's tough.
amazing. I love your story, bro. Like I love your story. Like I go for your page. I remember like obviously I came across your page. I was scrolling for your page. I love it. Like you were just it's like you were in your own space and in time you can see how that reflects on your work and how that reflects on the things around you, how things are done. Even the way you have your shop is amazing, bro. Like I really, really like admire that about your craft, you know, and it's amazing looking at that. But obviously, like on the subject of kind of like the competition of barbers and stuff like that, right? What do you obviously you've been on stage a couple times, and what do you think is the common mistake that barbers make when we go to this competition? Do we become too competitive with each other and forget that this is all part of experience? Is it like we don't talk enough, or like?
I gotta be honest with you. I think it's what you said. It's part of the experience, man. I think
Mm,
you will have to have a big courage to you to stand on the stage. That's for sure. You know,
for sure, for
it's
sure.
like I say in the beginning, it's the mindset. You know, to you to try to separate yourself from the rest. But I do really think that competing it allows you to put yourself out there. You know,
Yeah.
um, uh, the reason why I did it is just to try to compete against myself. I was not going there to compete against nobody else. I was just
Mm,
wanted to make sure. Let me see how good I am and how much I can improve from this. You know,
yeah.
man, I gotta be honest with you. Every single competitor that I was against to became friends, became family. Shout out to
Yes.
Guru. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You did that podcast with him not long ago. I've been
Guru,
in Guru two
amazing
times on the
guy,
stage
bro.
with him, you know. He's one of my
Yeah.
boys. You know what I mean? It's just one of them things that I became family with them, you know. So in the
Yes.
moment that we were on the show, yeah, we were competing against each other. So, I mean, it's me
Yes.
against you. But in the moment that the show finished, it's like, yo, we're family. Give me a shout if you need anything. If you need any
Yeah.
tips, I'm here for you. Throw me at the
Yeah.
end. Do you understand? Like, it's
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. So I truly recommend anyone that is feeling some type of way on competing to do it, man. Just take the risk and do it because I think it's one of the best things that I have done in barbering so far. And I have done few bits, but I think this is one of the best ones, mostly for the people that you meet.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. Like you know, like you said, Guru was on the podcast. I think 2 weeks ago, and he absolutely shared it, man. Like the conversation we had was amazing, and overall, just the idea of competing, like that conversation there, I think scares a lot of barbers. Like,
That's
like before I went on that stage, I was nervous, bro. I told a bunch of barbers, like, yo, like, and they were like, oh, I don't want not my work to be judged. I can't believe you're doing it. It scares a lot of barbers. It scares a lot of barbers. And most of them don't want to go and take that step.
mm,
But it's like you have to, because yes, you're on stage competing for now, like you said, but these guys, bro, these guys, you can only network with them on events like this.
100%.
You know what I mean? And it's amazing. So how do you think as Afro-Caribbean barbers, because when you go to these shows, majority of the people there are not really Afro-Caribbean barbers. You know what I mean? There's less and less of us going, but recently there's been a rise in a few of us starting to attend to like Afro Nation, Afro barbers and hair competition, Saloon International. There's been a few of us now that's starting to like, yo, we have to go, we have to go. But how do you think for the younger barbers coming up? How do you think is an easier way for them to get into competitive, not just attending it as fans, but being on the other side where they can, where we're now going to watch them?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think the opportunity is there now, and I think for any upcoming barber, they need to take that opportunity. Like I said before, I think it was one of the best things to put yourself out there and let the world see you. Do you know what I mean? I think that's one of the best opportunities that we can have now as Afro barbers. To be able to be there on the stage, man.
How do you
Like
think they can get into that place where that opportunity starts to present itself to them then? Like
100%.
is he someone that they might need to contact? Is he like is he just posting more online? Like how do obviously if I want to get into like competitive barbering, what do you think should be my first step?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. The first thing it would be practicing. Practicing, because obviously depending on what category you want to enter, obviously you got the fastest fade or you got the pattern designs. So depending on what you want to focus, practice.
100%.
So I think you will have to practice if you want to go and enter for design competition. you
Yeah.
you gotta have that one customer in, that will allow you to practice and practice and practice. Once that pattern
Mm,
comes clean, be like, okay, I'm ready. Take a couple of pictures of that. Decide to pick and choose what competition you want to go for. Normally, as you say, Afro show, salons or any other show, the British Bash Barber, any other show that you would like to do.
yeah.
Contact them. They normally put the dates on there. Send them a couple of pictures of the work that you have done. And
Mm.
it's easy as that, to be honest. It's more easy than what I suppose it used to be back in the days. That's for sure.
Yeah. For sure, man. But it's amazing to see your journey, bro. Like I say this all the time and I keep saying it. It's amazing. You've gone from like have you always just worked on your own studio or have you worked in a
Um,
barbershop?
No, to be honest, I mean, like the whole thing of barbering it started during the pandemic. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had a little bit of a background, like I said, like back in the days when I was 15, I used to cut my friends and family members. But we're talking about the early 2000s, so that era where you would do just like a number two all over, a little shape up, and that's it. I mean, that was the haircut done. It was not fading, it was not tapers. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't nice and
Yeah.
easy. So obviously, I was able to do that, but then I was having a different type of job. I was working at the airport. Then the pandemic hit, and unfortunately, I lost my job. So
Oh man.
for some people was the break, the outbreak. For some people was just like the breakdown type of thing. For me,
Yeah.
was the breaking point of starting
Fine.
something new. It was one of them situations where I lost my job. I didn't know what to do. Friends, I knew that they were looking to get haircuts. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people didn't agree with mixing households back then. But in that point, I needed to survive. So I started going to my mate's house just to do a couple of haircuts for tenner here and there. Then those
Mm.
friends and start contacting other people, and then that's how it started. So I created like a small, tiny little client base during the pandemic, And
Yeah.
then I have to give a big shout out to my boy Mattia. He contacted me online. The first lockdown was about to finish. He said, like, listen, I've been seeing what you've been posting because during the pandemic, I was posting that I was doing haircuts.
Yeah. For
And the guy
sure.
was just like, listen, like the first lockdown is about to finish. Would you like to come and work with me? Bear in
Yeah.
mind, never worked in a barbershop before. My experience was bare minimum. Like I said, I was just doing basics. My thought was, listen, I just lost my job. I'm pretty much about to be homeless, you know,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
have nothing else but this. So I took the chance and I started working with him, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like when I first started, I will never forget it. My haircuts were taking like 2 hours, bro. I can't lie to you, bro. People start asking me for mad stuff that I didn't knew. I had no clue, bro. Like I said to you, I'm a
Oh,
full barber, you know. So I was just there thinning scissors, you know, this and that. I was just like, oh, I was losing it, man. But to be honest, first to Matthias, which is the first barbershop that I ever worked for. They Italian, it's a family barbershop. So shout out to them for giving me the opportunity and being patient with me and every single customer that I had back then, you know. They were amazing people and I managed to learn a lot. They had a lot of patience, so they taught me. And then sadly we went into the second lockdown, you know.
oh,
So I was just like,
man.
oh my days. So obviously I was not making much money back then, you know. So then is when I think God really, really humbled me a lot. I end up losing everything what I had, bro. I end up homeless too, you know. So I have to find
Man.
a different type of job. So I was working for FedEx. So
Yeah.
someone else from another barbershop contacted me to give me the opportunity, you know, to work for them. And then I decided to go for it just because when I was working for Matthias, it was only him and me. And the
Yeah.
other barber that was offering me the other position, he had multiple barbers. So I just felt
Yeah.
like I'm a self-taught barber. I already learned everything from my first boy. I need to be surrounded with more barbers in order to me to continue learning, you know?
Yeah. For
So then the
sure. For
second
sure.
lockdown finished, and that was it, man. I was ready to go. So I was
With
working in that shop from 8 o'clock to 6
yeah.
p.m.
Yeah.
And then I would go to work on FedEx from 10 o'clock at night to 6 a.m. in the morning, bro. And repeat. And repeat.
Wow.
So
The
I did that for
process.
about 9 months. And then all to my boss, I started stepping on his toes a little bit in the sense of like I started getting more clientele, you know. I started bringing
Yes.
more people in. Like I say, I'm the only black barber in town, so more black customers start coming in, you know. And he didn't like it too much, brother. He didn't like the
Yeah.
fact that I was already started making noise, you know.
Yes. You were
And
making more noise than the shop was making noise.
exactly, you know.
Man.
And sadly, man, he had to fire me. He ended up firing me.
Yeah.
You know, he had to let me go. And I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I have been going through a lot of stuff in my life, and I don't let something like that step me back. So 2 weeks
Yes.
later, I decided to open my own studio.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times people don't understand it's all about gambling on yourself.
exactly,
Before I place a bet on anything else, I want to place that bet on myself
hundred
because
percent.
it's important. It is important to understand your story. It is important to understand yourself because that's the only way you can say I can truly bet on me to win. You know
100%.
what I'm saying? So like, bro, I'm like hearing your story is so inspiring. It's inspiring to myself. It's inspiring to anyone that will be listening to this because it just goes to show, bro, not all is lost, even though it seems like all is lost. It's like
Exactly,
you still got breath in your lungs. You're good at something. And sometimes I'm driving to work and I kiss my hand. I say, as long as I got these hands, I can achieve anything. And it's
100%.
amazing because the power is in your hands, bro. It's genuinely just in your hands because
It is
you
indeed.
were blessed, bro. Like your story is mad inspiring, you know.
Thank you.
But you look at like obviously now you're in a studio, you've left the barbershop, you've come into a studio.
Mhm.
Like, what would you think the biggest difference is between working on a studio and working in a barbershop?
I would say the one-on-one, man. The one-on-one, I think, is one of the main things, especially in the area where I live.
Yeah,
The area where I live is people with like money, you know.
yeah, yeah.
But you know, more money, more problems.
Sure.
Basically, that's what it is, you know. So when you think about it, like when I used to work in a barber shop, you normal barber shop, you walked in, you got 12 barbers in there,
Yeah.
loud, loud music, everyone talking over everyone. Do you know what I mean? You hear all the conversations of everybody. But you
Ooh,
come into a
noise.
studio and it's just me and you
Yeah,
know. So I realized that the customers that I used to cut hair for the years before, which some of them has
yeah.
been 5 years now, when I used to cut in my first shop and in my second shop, I didn't actually knew them, bro. But when they came to my studio, I start realizing like they start talking about their personal problems with me. I start talking about my problems with them. So it became more than just on a haircut. It became an experience and a like free therapy type of thing because it was
Type.
nobody else in the room.
Yes, it
You
was just
know,
me and you.
just me and you understand? So then with the pass of the 3 years that I got the studio, I realized a lot of us as a man, let's face it, bro, we do suffer in silence sometimes. Yeah.
A
So
lot, a lot.
like sometimes you don't wanna if you're going through something, you don't wanna talk to your family because you don't wanna worry them. You don't wanna
Yeah,
talk to the missus because you don't wanna put pressure in the relationship. You don't wanna talk to
cool.
your boys because your boys will be like, bro, man up. You know? So who do you talk to?
You
Your
talk to your
barber.
barber.
You get
You
me?
genuinely do. It's
Yeah,
amazing because this
exactly.
relationship is more than just friendship. Is
Exactly.
sometimes I say to some of my clients, I see you more than you see your family. You
Exactly.
know what I mean? I see you every week, every 2 weeks, you a year for
Yeah.
at least an hour, and we have deep conversations about stuff that you would not tell anyone else about. And it's crazy to think about it, like it's crazy to think about it. But I think a studio is amazing. The idea of having your studio and like working out of the studio. And it's like, how does walking alone, obviously you kind of breached on it, but how does it compare to like just the community vibe? Like sometimes a lot of people want to get the studio, but it
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily bring in a bunch of people because you can only pretty much work because you're just you can only work on like appointment base. How
Yes.
does that how does that work? Like how does the appointment system or the booking system help develop your studio into where it is
Oh
today then?
man, it has helped the booking system since the pandemic. Luckily, I didn't know the difference as a barber. I didn't work with how it used to be back in the days when you used to just walk in the shop. But I
Yeah.
used to be a customer, so I used to remember walking into the shop and wait 45 minutes to an hour, if not longer, waiting for
Yeah.
somebody to cut my hair. Now,
Yeah.
thanks to the booking system, I think that actually has allowed me to grow the studio. Reason why is because we're respecting people's time. You know what time you're coming in, you know what time you're leaving. If you're a
Yeah.
businessman as yourself, or if you are got a busy lifestyle, if you got kids or anything, you know what time you're going in, you know what time you're leaving. So for me, I think like it's a clear example. When I opened the shop 3 years ago, I only had 45 customers when I first started. You know,
Wow.
it was days that I would just be sitting in there for 9 hours, just waiting in the studio watching
Yeah.
Netflix and munching something because nobody will show up, you know?
Yeah.
But then you see the transition from those days where you were just waiting to what it is now, and I'm having 368 customers just on my own studio. The transition is different, you know? And
Wow.
all thanks to
Consistency.
social media, it's all about word of mouth and the booking system. Yeah,
What booking system do you use right now?
so I'm using Booksy. I'm using
Yeah.
Booksy. So Booksy is the one I think at the moment that will allow you to like put yourself in the map. You know, there is a lot of other apps that you could use that I was using back in the days, but I think Booksy is the main one. You know, I think
Yeah,
Booksy
for
is the main
sure, man.
one. I think I also run with a lot of advantage that I'm the only barbershop in town that has also parking space. So when obviously you
Um,
got people that are busy doing like school drops or anything or finishing work or in the lunch break and then they just can't come right away into the studio and just park there without paying for parking, walk into the shop and then come back again. Do you know what I mean? It just makes life a little bit more easier for them.
it
So I think
does, it does,
makes my shop stand out a little bit more, you know?
it does. So obviously now you've had your shop for 3 years, you've kind of like gone through like the difficult part. You're in a part now where you can see the future a lot more clearer. You can see understand yourself a lot more better. You can see the path a lot more like ahead of you, a lot more better. What do you think was the biggest challenge in running your own studio?
Ooh, I would say building building the clientele that I got now. I think that was the
Mm,
biggest challenge. Like I say, I think as a when you're running your own business, not just barbering, but I assume it's just any business in general. Those moments, as I said before, that you're just waiting in there for a client to show up or anything. I did
yeah,
it for so long, especially my first studio that I didn't have clientele. Sorry, my first barbershop that I didn't have a clientele. You want to give up.
yeah,
It's so much easier. It's that mind, heart. feeling that it's just like, is this really worth it? Have I done the right step? I already spent money on this, and I'm just here, not making money. But
Yeah.
feeling that in that moment made me realize, okay, like, but I'm here sitting. I know that nobody's gonna come. It's up to make those clients. Apart from posting and Booksy, I cannot just rely on them. So what I
Yeah.
decided to do is just start having my business cards and then start walking around the town, go to small businesses or stop people in the middle of the street and start giving them business cards, you know?
Yes.
And then I think
Yes.
that was the challenge that I was really close to give up just because I was not seeing light at the end of the tunnel. But I think
Mm.
for any upcoming barber, for any person that is deciding to open their own studio or a barbershop, it's like, just don't give up. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
just give time to yourself, to you to continue, receiving those blessings, because I do really think that God don't bless you in the moment just because you're not ready to receive that blessing yet. I think
For
if
sure.
I would have what I have now when I first opened the shop, I don't really think I would be strong enough mentally to me to be able to handle all that amount of clientele. Now I can
For
just work
sure.
around it. Now I'm able to, like, figure it out. Okay, this day am I gonna do extra hours to me to be able to fit more people in? Like all these little things. But I didn't have the really, really knowledge of how to run a business in the beginning. You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing because being in a studio means that you have to also focus on like self-improvement, which
Hmm.
is working on yourself. Because being around other barbers, like I've worked around other barbers my whole life, and I've also worked in a shop where I was the only barber, and eventually we got someone come in and I was training them how to cut hair. I was still a lot better than him in essence of cutting hair. So I've come to realize that being around other barbers means for me is I'm I'm competing with other barbers in the shop.
Yeah.
Not in terms of like fighting for clients, but in terms of if I see him do a fade that is clean, I want to know how you done that fade. So I'm going there like, yo, bro, like how did you do that? Like how did you do that? I'm picking up little skills from him to help improve myself. And I'm grateful enough that I'm working with one of the best and most decorated barber right now, Pekka,
Yes.
and he's the owner of my shop, Diligence,
Mhm.
and I've got to pick up so much skill from him because, like, he trims right behind me, so sometimes I trim sideways so I can watch him trim.
Yes,
Because
sir.
if I'm trimming the same type of hair and he's trimming similar, bro, I'm flipping my chair, bro. I'm watching you trim. I'm watching you how to use like little things like the blade, hold
Mhm.
the blade with your hand, and so you can get around the ears, the curve. I learned that through Pekka, and that is after 8 years of trimming. I'm still
Okay.
learning things through him. I'm still like watching him, like, yo, like, how did you do this? And he just tells me, like, oh, like, use this and do it like that. And I go, all right, cool. Because I have the experience, when he says use this and do it like that, I'm like, cool. I would have never thought about doing it. But now that you've told me to use that, I just know, all right, cool. This is what I have to do. It's like, so obviously, being in a studio, you get to kind of
We
work
can
on
have that. I
yourself.
can have that. I can have none of
Yes,
that being in the studio. So obviously,
yes,
like I said, as a self-taught barber, I didn't know no difference. So I'm still training every single
every
day,
day.
man. Like watching videos. So for me, YouTube have been the main platform, obviously, of learning those things that you are learning
Yeah,
from your boss. To me being my own boss, not being able to learn those things.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
has to be, and that's how I started. Like I said, like as a self-taught barber, for me,
yeah.
like the main people was Vince Blends back in the days. It's like the cat. Shout out to Slider Cats too.
Slider
Bosio.
cut.
Like I
Yeah,
had a little like a USA influence right there.
yeah,
Bosio, all these three GC cats. You know what I mean? Like these
yeah,
these these people were the main people for me to be like, okay, I don't have someone next to me, but let me continue doing my work and let me see what is new out there. And that's the reason why I go to the shows sometimes, even if I'm not competing. I'm there
yeah.
every single show.
You're
You will
there
see me there because knowledge is
because you're
power at
learning
the end of the
something.
day. you know and that's how
Yeah, for
I
sure.
have helped myself to improve.
So, what do you think are some bad habits that holds a lot of barbers back?
Ooh, I'm gonna be honest with you. I will say not being able to take the risk on the new things that comes out in barbering.
For
I
sure.
can't say that from my old boss. He probably gonna see this, you know what I mean? But it's one of them things like he was an old school traditional barber, you know,
Yeah.
and it was tiny little things that you can make your customers more comfortable and create a beautiful experience. Something so simple like a hot towel, you know,
Yeah.
like a shaving gel, not just doing it dry. You know what I mean? Like, instead of using the lemon alcohol, use a like a cologne with perfume and let them go ready, and you know, tiny little
Yeah.
things that you can switch up. And I think a majority of the barbers that just get stuck in there in the old
Yeah.
ways,
Yeah.
not being able to take a risk to experiment the new things.
Yeah.
I think those are the ones that like step back a little bit and stays there, you know, which is nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. But I think you, as a barber in this era, you will have to learn the new bits, you know.
For sure, because you kind of have to like level up. Like I went for your Instagram as well, and I saw a post where you was teaching some people, or they were watching you cut hair. It's
Mhm.
like, and I like that. Like, bro, I love that. When you see that, it's inspiring. I've taught myself, and I'm happy to share my gift with everyone else. But a lot of barbers are afraid to teach people what, like, how to cut hair. Why do you think barbers avoid teaching others? And how do you think this affects the industry?
Oof. I think I'm gonna be honest with you, man. This might gonna sound a little bit bad, you know, but I do got the feeling that there is some barbers that they see that as a gift for themselves because of the way that we work and the way that we make money and etc. They feel like I don't want to share this knowledge with nobody else. This is me, mine. And I think that's
Sure.
something that is a little bit selfish in that sense. For example, like I said, I'm a self-taught barber. I'm a really humble person. And if someone come up to me and tell me, "Listen, Brian, what's the best way to me to become a barber?" Rather than me sending them somewhere else and paying 4 grand for a course, I'm like, I can teach you for free, which is
For
basically
sure.
what I'm doing now. You know, I got two
For sure.
apprentices at the moment, and hopefully in the future there will be the people that will be working with me when I will decide to open something bigger. Do you know what I mean? So
Sure.
it's an exchange, you know. Like I share my knowledge, and then you will be there with me when I will start stepping up. You know, I have
Sure.
seen sadly some of my mates, you know, going for barber courses and everything, and they come out from the barber course, and there is not
That,
even basics in there. You
bro, I done level two barbering, right?
know?
BTCT course. And I tell you, bro, I was teaching my teacher how to cut hair, how to do a fade. It was horrible, bro. Like, she could only cut hair with scissors. There was nothing
Okay.
else. Bro, you're a barber, but you couldn't cut hair with clippers. She didn't know how to use a fade for a clipper. And it's sad because I'm happy that I was already a barber.
Mhm.
Where I just went there to get that qualification
Yeah.
because I was young, I was in college, and the chance of me to study, and I was thinking, I don't want to go off to uni, but I don't know what I want to do. And a friend of mine said, well, if you're a barber, why don't you just get a qualification, since you know you have to do something anyways because you can't drop out of college. And I said, well, cool, I'll just do that. So I signed up, done that, and it was amazing because
Mm.
I got to hold the certificate, although I don't necessarily need it, although it never really taught me anything, but it was something that I just kind of had there, what I had to do then. But you know, which I'm happy. But obviously, I've taught a few barbers myself, and you're teaching barbers. What is the one message that you make sure you tell this apprentice when they're coming up? Like, you want them to hold with them for when they are in your level, for them to also pass that message down.
Man, I think the only advice that I got for those upcoming barbers or barbers that are like learning at the moment, man, is just like keep practicing. Don't get frustrated. Finish your steps, you know, because I know some people when they first start halfway through, they just give up, you know, and without seeing or without completing the haircut or anything, you know, I would say just repetition, repetition, repetition. Keep watching videos. Until today, I've been barbering proper for 5 years, and I'm still watching videos. You see me on the weekend having my son on my lap and watching videos of barberings. Do you know what I mean? What's new in the industry? So I would just say, just never stop. Just never stop, man. Like this is one of them beautiful. I think barbering is one of the best jobs ever because you just don't get just to cut hair, but you also get to meet people and socialize and meeting different people from different cultures, from different, do you know what I mean, countries, etc. So yeah, I would just say, just listen, put your head down, practice, and don't give up. Just that simple.
Nice, man.
Just that simple.
Nice. Like, we breached out a little bit about COVID and how we affected barbering. Um, so I just kind of want to ask like a few more questions, like go a bit more in depth about COVID, because I ask this to most of the barbers that come on this podcast, because we all experience COVID as barbers in different ways. I understand that for me personally, like I knew barbers that had ways to come into their shop through the back, and they did that, so they were able to get one or two clients in. But me, I wasn't able to do that, so I had to travel to clients to do their hair. And like different people had different effects and how it affected them. I was trimming before COVID, and I could say that COVID has completely changed how barbering is. For example, a lot of people did booking, but it would be booking for the phone. Book season, all them things was not really much of a thing back in the days, but now it's one of the biggest and fastest growing industry right now is the booking system. So you kind of look at it, as a barber, that like became, I would say, fully established after the COVID, like in the COVID to after the COVID. Like, how do you think that has changed the interaction between barbers and clients?
Do you know what? I think I think he in a way COVID did help a lot though. Because let's
It
face it,
did.
a lot of people were locked in their houses. Like I said before, they weren't able to talk or meet other people, and it was just you with yourself. I think like in the moment the barbershops open again, obviously we were had to wear devices, we will have to wear gloves, we have to have a completely different type of setup. But I
Yes.
think it did help people a lot in the sense of to realize how important as the barbers we are. You know,
Yes, for
a lot
sure.
of people try to have buzz cuts at home, and a lot like trying to do things at home or telling the mom to do it, and then they realize actually like it's not as easy as they make it look you know.
Yeah,
So I think
for
after
sure.
COVID, people has appreciate us a little bit more in the sense of like we do need you guys. We do appreciate your work, and I don't gonna step on you for saying like I can get it cheaper somewhere else or this and that. Do you know what I mean? Or I can do this at home. Like you guys have realized thanks to the pandemic that it's not just I can do it just at home. Do you understand what I'm saying?
For
So
sure.
I think the pandemic has actually make a lot of people realize that yeah they do need us.
Do you think like the barbering industry have fully recovered from COVID, or is there still a little area where the industry is still struggling to catch up?
Oh, it's hard. It's hard because I do know that obviously during COVID, a lot of barbershops around my area sadly shut down. But then a lot of new barbers have also come around and have open barbershops. So it's a difficult one. I think it's
The
hard.
transition.
Yeah, the transition is a difficult one. I think like barbering is just one of them trades that it will never die. We might gonna tumble a little bit like in moments like the COVID, but I think it's always gonna be there.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like it's been such a brilliant episode having you on here. Like it's been amazing, amazing, amazing. But there's one question I always ask every barber that come on here, and that is, what is their recommended products? What is that one product that you use on every client, that you use on yourself? And if if there's anyone, and what does that product do? You know what I mean? Like, what does that product do for their hair? And what is for you? What is your go-to products that you recommend to most of your clients to use to care for their hair?
I gotta be honest with you, man. I got a different type of clientele. As like I said, I'm the only black barber in my town, so I got different type of hairs. So for my Afro people hair, I know that a lot of people might gonna hate me for this, but this is where we can get our hands, and it's more easy for our customers to get it in our shops. Which I would recommend for people with curly hair. It will be Cantu foam. A lot of people is just like, no, they're not as good as they used to be. They still get the job done. I use it myself. As you can see, the curls pops up. So
Yeah.
I will swear by Cantu cream or foam. That's my main one. And for my people with the straight hair, dip it down. American brand, you can use the clay or the gel or the wax. Those are the ones that I would recommend to my customers to use. To be honest, mostly
Yeah.
because it smells good. It doesn't leave leftovers. Like sometimes when you got like white bits hanging on your hair, etc.
Sure.
So those
Yeah.
are the ones those are my main two that I use at the shop, to be honest.
Sure, man. But while we're at the end of this amazing, amazing episode with myself and Brian the barber, I just want to leave a key message, and it says, the difference between a good barber and a great barber is the details. Never stop perfecting your craft. So show more effort into what you do. Don't rush a client because you have another client in the waiting area. Don't rush a client because you want to take a quick walk in. Show every client the same respect that you would show anyone. You know what I mean? And also, don't do the job because of the money, bro. You have to do this craft because you love it, because you have passion in it, because there's a lot of room for growing. Take every constructive criticism well. Understand within yourself, what did I do great this week? What should I improve on? And just keep growing, man. Like, you've heard an amazing story from Bryan the barber. Like, he's an amazing person. He's an amazing guy. Like, having this conversation with him today has made me realize, wow, like, barbering industry needs to kind of like, we need to adapt. We need to be able to share knowledge a lot more. Like, the fact that you're where you are today, going through your struggles and coming to where you are today, don't only go to show or who you are, but goes to testify for what you are, which is a solid individual. Because your mindset had to be on a whole different level for you to go through life in one way and come out the other way. Because, bro, it's amazing, bro.
Like,
But for people listening to this, where can they find you? Like, if they want to get in contact with you, what is your Instagram,
so
your email, or whatever?
so my Instagram is Bryan underscore da underscore Barber. I'm based in Bishop Stortford. You can also find me under the James Barber Club. That's the name of the shop. You can find that also on Instagram. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's the best way to contact me and see me.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have his name and his Instagram attached to this video. He's an amazing, amazing guy. I want to say thank you very much for taking the time to participate in this episode. For everyone watching this, the Instagram to contact me is on Frostfades, but I normally go by my email, hello@frostfade.com. And yeah, man, we're finally at the end of this episode. I want to say again, thank you very much, Bryan, for taking your time
Thanks,
to take part in this episode. I really, really do appreciate your time. I really do really appreciate you. It's a great honor to be able to share your story to not just myself but to the world. It's a great honor to be for you to actually be here and take time to actually be here. And also, one thing I forgot to ask is what days are you at the shop?
So the days that I'm at the shop, I'm working from Tuesday to Saturday. So Sundays and Mondays are for the family.
Nice, nice, man. That's how it should
I'm
be in it.
doing a 9 to 6, nice and easy. That's it.
All right, man. But that's great, my boy. But thank you very
Very
much for
much
being
for
in
that.
the episode. Love, my brother. I appreciate you,
I
man.
appreciate you too, brother. Thank you for having me, man, and for your time as well.
Oh, always, my bro. Always.
Love for that.